The night sky above the Pacific Ocean shimmered with unusual clarity. On the deck of a research vessel, Dr. Park adjusted her telescope, her fingers trembling slightly. What she had first dismissed as satellite debris now moved with unmistakable purpose. "Dr. Park, you've been staring at those readings for 3 hours," said her assistant, bringing her a cup of coffee. She accepted it without looking away from her monitor. "Because 3 hours ago these objects weren't changing direction." She pointed to the blinking dots on her screen. "Now they are. All of them. Toward us." Her assistant's face paled. "You don't think—" "Call General Lee, now." Within hours, observatories worldwide confirmed what Park had discovered. 9,900 objects, each massive enough to register from millions of miles away, approached Earth in perfect formation. At the United Nations emergency session, screens displayed the incoming armada. No nation claimed responsibility. No country had the technology to launch such a fleet. The conclusion was inescapable. "We are not alone," the Secretary General announced, "and they are coming." Panic spread across the globe. Religious leaders declared the end times. Stores emptied as people hoarded supplies. Traffic jammed highways as cities emptied. In the underground facility beneath Mount Fuji, General Lee watched the chaos unfold on multiple screens. Unlike the public, he had known this day would come. They all had, the select few who had been part of Protocol Omega for decades. "Status report," he demanded, pacing the length of the command center. "All defensive systems are coming online," replied Colonel Moon, his second in command. "Shield generators are at 89% capacity and rising. The weapons platforms we've hidden in orbit are still undetected." Lee nodded, his weathered face betraying no emotion. "And the package?" "Ready to deploy on your command." Lee studied the main display, where red dots representing the alien fleet drew closer to Earth with each passing minute. "Have we decoded any of their transmissions?" "Nothing new since the burst 3 hours ago," said the communications officer. "Just the same message repeating, 'Prepare for integration into the stellar dominion.'" 50 years earlier, a small scout ship had crashed in the remote mountains of northern Canada. Its recovery had been kept secret from the public, but the technology salvaged from it had revolutionized human understanding of physics and space travel. More importantly, it had warned them that others would follow. Admiral Kim stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Victory, watching Earth grow larger on the view screen. His mandibles clicked with anticipation, a habit from childhood that centuries of military discipline had failed to eliminate. "Beautiful planet," remarked his second-in-command, Officer Han. "Abundant water, ideal atmospheric composition. The EU Dominion will be pleased." Kim nodded. "Our scouts reported a primitive civilization. They've barely reached their own moon. Subjugation should be simple." "The usual approach, then? Overwhelming display of force, followed by targeted strikes against military installations?" "Precisely." Kim activated the ship-wide communication system. "All vessels maintain formation. We enter Earth orbit in 11 hours. Prepare assault crafts and ground forces." What Kim didn't know, couldn't know, was that humans had been watching, learning, preparing. In laboratories across Earth, scientists had reverse-engineered alien technology, developing defenses against weapons they'd never faced but knew would come. In secret military bases, soldiers trained with prototype weapons designed to counter the expected invasion. Dr. Park left the observatory and boarded a helicopter waiting to take her to command. As they flew over the countryside, she saw the fear below, the traffic jams, the crowds, people looking skyward with terror. "They don't know what we've done to prepare," she murmured. "Would it help if they did?" asked the pilot. Park considered this. Maybe not. 50 years of secret global cooperation, trillions diverted to defense projects the public never saw. They might be more afraid of us than the aliens. At the White House, the president addressed the nation. "My fellow Americans, we face an unprecedented moment in human history. I won't lie to you. We are about to make contact with beings from another world. Their intentions appear hostile, but I promise you this. We are not defenseless. Similar messages echoed from leaders worldwide, carefully coordinated to reveal enough to instill hope without exposing the full extent of humanity's preparations. As dawn broke over Asia, the first of the alien ships became visible to the naked eye, dark shapes against the morning sky, growing larger by the hour. In his command center, General Lee received the call he'd been waiting for. "Sir, all systems are ready. Shield network is fully operational. Orbital platforms armed and tracking targets." Lee took a deep breath, 50 years of preparation culminating in this moment. "Then we wait for them to make the first move. Let them think we're helpless. Let them think we're easy prey." The Admiral's ship entered Earth orbit, followed by his massive fleet. Kim smiled as he prepared to broadcast his demands to the primitive planet below. "Begin the transmission," he ordered. "Tell them their world now belongs to the Stellar Dominion." The message from the alien fleet blared from every radio, television, and mobile device on Earth. Static first, then a voice. Oddly human, yet not quite right, as if someone had learned English from old broadcasts. "People of Earth, your planet is now under the protection of the Stellar Dominion. Resistance is unnecessary and wasteful. You have 24 hours to disband your military forces and prepare for integration. This is not a negotiation." In homes, across the world, families huddled together watching the skies. The massive ships hung there like metal mountains, dark against the blue. Schools closed. Businesses shut down. The streets of major cities emptied except for those who chose to pray together in public squares or those rushing to leave. Inside the national security bunker, the president paced. "What are our real options here, General?" General Lee stood with his hands clasped behind his back. "We stay the course, sir. Let them think we're scrambling. Let them think we're afraid." "We are afraid," the president said. "Yes," Lee agreed. "But we're also ready. We've been ready for 50 years. Aboard the Eternal Victory, Admiral Kim watched the planet's reaction with satisfaction. Their communication systems had been easy to infiltrate. Their satellites offered no resistance. Their aircraft, when they occasionally flew near, were laughably primitive. "The deadline is a courtesy they don't deserve," Officer Han remarked. "I've studied their history. They spend most of their time killing each other." Kim nodded. "Standard protocol. The deadline isn't for them. It's to give our ground forces time to prepare." He turned to his tactical display. "Any unusual responses to our message?" "Nothing concerning," Han replied. "Their military forces are mobilizing, but their weapons are no threat to our ships. They seem to be evacuating their cities. Some of their leaders are making speeches about unity and courage." He made a dismissive gesture. The usual pre-surrender posturing. What the aliens couldn't detect was the network of quantum communications Earth had developed. Untraceable, unhackable channels where the real human response was coordinating. In the underground command center, Dr. Park monitored energy readings from the alien fleet. "They're powering weapons," she announced. "Looks like they're getting impatient." General Lee frowned. "The deadline isn't up yet." "Seems they're planning a demonstration," Park replied. "Energy buildup is consistent with what we extracted from the scout ship data. They're going to hit a major city." "Which one?" Park studied the readings. "Based on targeting vector, New York." Lee picked up his secure phone. "Activate Shield Section 5, now." Across the planet, buried deep in remote locations, enormous generators hummed to life. Technology no human could have developed without the head start from the crashed alien scout ship 50 years ago. In New York, people looked up as a strange shimmer appeared in the sky above them. Some thought it was the aliens' weapon starting. Others, who knew about Protocol Omega, recognized humanity's first defense revealing itself. Admiral Kim gave the order. "Target their largest East Coast city. Low yield, just enough to demonstrate our capabilities." The weapon fired, a brilliant beam of energy lancing down from the ship. It struck the shimmer in the atmosphere and stopped. The energy spread across an invisible dome, rippling like water, glowing blue and green before dissipating entirely. In the command ship, alarms blared. "Weapon ineffective!" Han shouted. checking his readings twice. They have shield technology. Kim's mandibles clicked rapidly, no longer anticipation but stress. Impossible. The scouts reported no such capability. Run a full scan of their defensive systems. Ground teams of alien soldiers prepared for deployment, but now there was confusion. The easy conquest they'd been promised suddenly seemed less certain. On the planetary defense network, engineers like Jun worked frantically to maintain the shields. In her station beneath the Andes Mountains, she watched power levels fluctuate. Shield Section 5 holding at 89%, she reported. They're hitting us harder now. Multiple weapons. The attacking beams intensified. More ships joining the barrage. Against New York's shield. The shimmer in the sky brightened, became more visible. A dome of light protecting the city. People recorded it on their phones. News helicopters circled safely inside the shield's protection. And for the first time since the ships arrived, hope began to replace fear. No one told us about this, a news anchor said, her voice shaking with emotion. Someone's been protecting us all along. General Lee watched the public reaction on multiple screens. Time to show them what else we can do. Authorize countermeasures Phase 1. From hidden silos across Earth, surface-to-space missiles launched. Not the primitive rockets the aliens expected, but weapons built with reverse-engineered technology. They streaked toward the alien ships, their trails brilliant against the sky. The aliens, confident in their superior defenses, barely reacted until the missiles passed right through their shields as if they weren't there. Phase-shifted warheads, Dr. Park explained to the president watching the display. They exist slightly out of sync with normal space-time. Their shields can't stop what they can't fully detect. The explosions against the hulls of 3 alien ships were small but precise, targeting propulsion systems. The damaged vessels began to drift, their positions in the perfect formation breaking. Admiral Kim slammed his fist against his command console. How is this possible? Send ground forces now. Find their shield generators and destroy them. Officer Han hesitated. Admiral, shouldn't we reassess? They clearly have technology we didn't. They're still primitives, Kim snapped. Their weapons damaged only 3 ships out of our fleet of thousands. Deploy the troops. That's an order. Across Earth, people watched as dropships descended from the fleet, sleek, dark vessels heading for major cities. But now they weren't watching in terror. They were watching with a new feeling, defiance. In the streets of Shanghai, Captain Choi readied her Special Forces unit. They carried weapons no public military had ever displayed. Compact, glowing with inner energy, capable of things most humans would consider impossible. Remember your training, she told her soldiers. Everything we've prepared for happens now. The first alien troops would land within minutes. The real battle for Earth was about to begin. The alien dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, their hulls glowing red-hot. They scattered across the globe, targeting major cities and what their scans identified as military installations. In the streets of Shanghai, people watched with a mix of fear and determination as 3 ships approached the city center. Captain Choi adjusted her helmet, the inside display showing her the positions of both her team and the incoming aliens. The weapon in her hands hummed softly, the product of decades of reverse engineering and innovation. Remember, she said to her squad, they expect spears against their tanks. Let's show them what humanity has been working on. The first drop. Ship landed in a park, crushing trees and scorching the grass. Its doors hissed open and armored figures emerged, tall, their movements fluid despite the heavy protection they wore. They carried weapons that resembled rifles but with pulsing energy cores visible through transparent sections. Hold position, Choi ordered as her soldiers tensed. Let them get comfortable. The aliens moved with the confidence of superior force, establishing a perimeter around their ship. More emerged, including what appeared to be their commander, distinguished by elaborate markings on its armor. It gestured and the troops began to advance toward the city buildings. Now, Choi said quietly. Her soldiers activated their own armor, not the bulky metal of traditional military, but a second skin that rippled once with blue energy before becoming nearly invisible. Only a slight distortion in the air revealed their movement. The alien troops didn't notice the humans until Choi's squad was already among them. The first sign of trouble came when an alien soldier suddenly found itself unable to move, trapped in what looked like a bubble of warped air. "What is happening?" the alien commander demanded in its own language, the translation coming through Choi's helmet. Choi fired her weapon. Instead of a bullet or energy beam, it released a pulse that disrupted the molecular bonds in the alien's armor. The advanced protection cracked like glass, leaving the creature vulnerable. Across the city, similar scenes played out. Humanities. Defenders had spent years preparing for this moment, studying the recovered technology, adapting it to human use, and in some cases, improving it. In London, soldiers used gravity manipulation devices to turn the aliens' weight against them. In Rio, special forces deployed sound-based weapons that targeted the specific auditory frequencies that caused pain to the invaders' species. At his command post in New York, Commander Ju of the alien ground forces received increasingly desperate reports. "The humans have technology they shouldn't possess," one officer transmitted before his signal went dead. Ju slammed his fist against the tactical display. "How is this possible? Our intelligence said they were primitive." In a nondescript office, building in Seoul, a team of hackers led by Tai had been waiting for this moment. When the invasion fleet arrived, it brought with it a complex network of communications. Advanced, yes, but not impenetrable. Not to those who had spent decades studying the language and protocols from the crashed scout ship. "I'm in," Tai announced, his fingers flying across a specialized interface. "Their encryption is exactly what we expected." His team cheered quietly as they gained access to the alien communication network. They had one chance to deploy their digital weapon, a virus specifically designed to create chaos in the alien fleet. "Uploading now," Tai said. On his screen, lines of code executed, propagating through the alien network at the speed of light. Aboard the Eternal Victory, Admiral Kim was trying to make sense of the scattered and contradictory reports from his ground forces when the ship's system suddenly flickered. "What was that?" he demanded. Officer Han checked the console, his expression alarmed. "Some kind of cyber intrusion. It's spreading through the fleet's network." "Isolate it." "I'm trying, but—" Han's words cut off as the ship's lights dimmed, then came back at half strength. "It's too late. The virus is in our systems." Across the massive invasion fleet, ships began to lose power. Communication systems sent garbled orders. Navigation systems showed false readings. Some vessels fired their weapons without commands, hitting other ships in the fleet. On Earth, the counterattack expanded. From hidden bases in the oceans, submarines launched specialized torpedoes that rose from the water and transformed into aerial drones, swarming around the larger alien ships, attaching themselves to hulls and disrupting shield generators. In mountain ranges across the continents, concealed artillery positions revealed themselves, firing projectiles that didn't explode on impact, but instead burrowed into the alien ships, releasing nanobots that began to disassemble critical systems from within. General Lee watched the battle unfold from the Global Command Center, his face grim but satisfied. "Status report," he ordered. "Ground forces are holding their own against the alien troops," Colonel Moon reported. "The virus has successfully infected approximately 40% of their fleet. Our countermeasures are deployed and functioning at 93% effectiveness." "And casualties?" Moon's expression sobered. "Heavy in some areas. The aliens targeted population centers before we could fully deploy the shields." Lee nodded slowly. "Every loss is felt, but we're giving better than we're getting." He turned to Dr. Park. "Is it time for the next phase?" She checked her data. "Yes, their fleet is disorganized. Now's our chance to reveal what we've been hiding, on the far side of the moon." Lee picked up the secure phone. "This is General Lee. Activate Lunar Base Alpha. Launch the defense fleet. On the dark side of the moon, hidden from both Earth and space observation, doors opened in the lunar surface. From underground hangars, ships emerged, not as large as the alien vessels, but sleeker, built with a hybrid of human ingenuity and Reverse-engineered technology. They powered up and accelerated toward Earth, where the confused and damaged alien fleet was trying to regroup. Admiral Kim stared in disbelief at the tactical display. They have ships? Space-worthy vessels? This cannot be. Admiral, Han said urgently, we should retreat, regroup beyond their moon and reassess. This invasion is not proceeding as planned. Kim's mandibles clicked rapidly. No, we still have overwhelming numbers. 9,000 ships against what? A few hundred at most? Press the attack, full orbital bombardment of their cities. But even as he gave the order, another alarm sounded. Admiral, we're detecting more energy signatures. From Mars, and multiple asteroids. Kim's eyes widened as he realized the terrible truth. The humans hadn't just been waiting for them. They had been preparing for war. The view from space would have been breathtaking if anyone had the luxury to appreciate it. Earth's night side glittered with city lights, while the day side shone blue and white. Around the planet, explosions blossomed like silent fireworks as humanity's hidden fleet engaged the alien armada. Admiral Kim no longer stood tall and confident on his command bridge. He gripped the console as another impact rocked the eternal victory. Status report, he demanded. Officer Han worked frantically at his station. We've lost contact with 30% of the fleet. The human virus continues to spread through our systems and their ships. He paused, checking readings that defied explanation. Their ships are using our own propulsion technology, but somehow they've improved it. A holographic display showed the battle unfolding around Earth. The massive alien invasion force still outnumbered humanity's defenders, but the human vessels moved with unexpected speed and precision, striking, then retreating before the larger ships could respond effectively. This was supposed to be simple, Kim muttered. A primitive world, easy resources, new slaves for the Dominion. Sir, Han said quietly, I think we should consider retreat. Kim slammed his fist down. Never. Order all remaining functional ships to form a defensive sphere. We'll withdraw to lunar orbit and regroup. As the damaged alien fleet struggled to maintain formation during their retreat, humanity's hidden installations revealed themselves one by one. On the far side of the moon, the doors of Lunar Base Alpha stood fully open now, no longer concerned with secrecy. More ships launched, smaller fighters and support vessels joining the battle. From Mars, where a supposedly small research outpost had been Earth's public face in space, massive weapons platforms emerged from beneath the red sands. They powered, up targeting the alien ships that had withdrawn beyond the moon. Even the asteroid belt came alive with activity as mining operations transformed into military bases, launching swarms of autonomous drones programmed with a single objective: disable the alien fleet's propulsion systems. In Manhattan, crowds gathered in Times Square, watching the battle on enormous screens. News helicopters captured footage of damaged alien ships burning through the atmosphere, crashing into oceans far from populated areas, guided there by Earth's defensive systems to minimize casualties. A cheer rose from the crowd as the feed showed human ships in formation, sleek and deadly, clearly built for combat despite humanity's peaceful public image. We never knew, one woman said, tears in her eyes. All these years they were protecting us. Inside the Mountain Command Center, General Lee and Dr. Park monitored the battle from multiple angles. The room hummed with activity as officers relayed orders to forces around the solar system. The asteroid base reports all drones deployed, an operator announced. Mars defense platforms are at full power. Dr. Park studied the tactical display. They're trying to consolidate their forces in, lunar orbit. Should we press the attack? Lee considered this. Not yet. Let's see what their next move is. We've surprised them once, let's see if we can do it again. On his crippled flagship, Admiral Kim watched with mounting horror as more of his fleet fell to the human counterattack. The Eternal Victory shuddered as another nearby ship exploded, debris peppering their weakened shields. How could we have been so wrong about them? He wondered aloud. Officer Han looked up from his console. Sir, I've been analyzing their technology. It's ours. Modified, improved in some cases, but definitely based on Dominion designs. That's impossible. They couldn't have... Kim stopped mid-sentence as realization dawned. The lost scout ship, the one that disappeared in this sector 50 years ago. Han nodded grimly. They must have recovered it, studied it, prepared for us. Kim felt cold fear replace his anger. The humans hadn't just gotten lucky. They had been waiting, ready for this exact moment. All this time, we thought we were the hunters. In a hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, engineer Jin monitored the power systems for Earth's planetary shield. The alien bombardment had strained the network, but it held. Years of simulations and tests had prepared them for this day. Shield grid at 64% capacity, she reported. We're rerouting power from secondary systems to compensate for damage to the Asian sector generators. Her supervisor nodded. Good. Keep it stable for another 12 hours, and we might just win this thing. Above them, the battle continued to rage. Human ships engaged the aliens with increasing confidence, their crews' years of training in simulator programs now put to the ultimate test. Captain Wu commanded one of Earth's largest vessels, the Defiance. His bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency as they maneuvered through the chaos of battle. Target their propulsion systems, Wu ordered. Remember your training. We want to disable, not destroy if possible. His weapons officer nodded. Targeting. Solution ready. Firing. The Defiance's main weapons fired, not the crude missiles or lasers the aliens might have expected, but concentrated beams that phased in and out of normal space-time, bypassing shields to strike directly at vulnerable systems. 3 alien ships drifted powerless, their engines dark. The Defiance was already moving on to the next target. In Earth's upper atmosphere, the specialized fighter squadrons engaged the alien dropships attempting to deploy more ground troops. The human pilots flew with remarkable skill, as if they'd been training for this specific enemy their entire careers. In truth, they had been. Simulator programs based on the recovered scout ship had prepared them for exactly these opponents, these vessels, these tactics. At the UN Security Council, now relocated to an underground bunker, world leaders watched the battle unfold with a mixture of awe and fear. How long have we been preparing for this? One leader asked. The Secretary General's expression was solemn. Since the scout ship crashed in 1975, the world's governments made a decision: unite in secret to defend Earth, while maintaining the appearance of division and primitive technology. And now? Now we fight for our survival. And we're winning. In the lunar orbit, Admiral Kim made his decision. Prepare all functioning ships for a coordinated attack. Target their major defense installations. We still outnumber them. We can still win this. Officer Han looked doubtful, but relayed the orders. The battered but still massive alien fleet began to move, thousands of ships forming into attack formations. On Earth, General Lee watched this development with narrow eyes. They're coming back. All forces prepare for Wave 2. He turned to Dr. Park. It's time. Deploy the package. Dr. Park nodded and entered a series of commands. Across the solar system, hidden weapons platforms activated simultaneously. The turning point of the battle for Earth was about to begin. The space around Earth had become a graveyard of ships. Debris from both sides drifted in silent orbits, glinting in the sunlight against the blue-white backdrop of humanity's home. The battle had raged for 3 days without pause, transforming the once peaceful region around the planet into a war zone. Inside the eternal victory, Admiral Kim could barely recognize his own command bridge. Emergency lighting cast red shadows across the damaged consoles. Half his crew was dead or injured. The ship's main weapons were offline, life support functioning at minimal capacity, yet still he refused to admit defeat. Reroute power from life. Support to weapons, he ordered, his voice hoarse from shouting commands for days without rest. Officer Han stared at him in disbelief. Sir, if we reduce life support any further, we'll lose the lower decks entirely. Do it, Kim insisted. This isn't over. But it was, and deep down he knew it. Of his original invasion fleet of 9,900 ships, fewer than 200 remained operational. The rest were destroyed, disabled, or had retreated into deep space, fleeing the unexpected resistance. On Earth's surface, crowds gathered on rooftops and in open spaces, watching the battle unfold overhead. During daylight, they could see flashes of light as ships exploded. At night, it looked like a meteor shower as debris burned through the atmosphere. In the Global Command Center, General Lee hadn't slept in days either. His uniform was rumpled, his eyes bloodshot, but his voice remained steady as he issued orders to Earth's defenders. "Status of the package?" he asked Dr. Park. She checked her readings one last time. "All systems nominal. The antimatter catalysts are in position around their fleet concentration." She looked up at him, her expression grave. "This will end it one way or another." Lee nodded slowly. "Casualties?" Colonel Moon consulted his tablet. 12 million civilian casualties worldwide from the initial bombardment before shields were fully deployed. Military losses at approximately 30% of engaged forces. Lee closed his eyes briefly, absorbing the weight of those numbers. Each one a person, a life, a future erased. "Begin the final countdown. Inform all our forces to pull back to safe distance." Earth's ships began a coordinated withdrawal, disengaging from their alien opponents and retreating to predetermined positions. The alien fleet, still trying to regroup, seemed confused by this sudden disengagement. In the residential district of Tokyo, a young boy pointed skyward. "Look. What's that?" His father followed his gaze to see hundreds of small, bright objects converging on the alien fleet, tiny compared to the massive warships, barely visible from Earth. These were the package Dr. Park had prepared. Thousands of antimatter catalysts, each no bigger than a coffee cup, designed to attach to the hulls of alien ships. Individually, they were almost harmless. Together, they represented humanity's final card to play. Admiral Kim noticed the readings too late. "What are these objects approaching our position?" His science officer studied the data. "Some kind of propelled devices, too small to cause significant damage. Perhaps sensor drones." Kim wasn't convinced. "Order all ships to destroy them." But there were too many, and the alien fleet was too damaged to mount an effective defense. The tiny devices attached themselves to hull after hull, locking into place, with magnetic clamps. In Earth's command center, Dr. Park watched the deployment reach 100% completion. "All catalysts in position," she announced. "Activation on your command." General Lee took a deep breath. "Activate." Each catalyst began to generate a quantum field that altered the properties of normal matter around it, creating microscopic, temporary pockets where matter and antimatter could safely interact. The energy released was channeled in specific directions, away from Earth, away from human ships, and directly into the power cores of the alien vessels. In space, ship after ship began to glow from within, their hulls illuminated by the uncontrolled energy reactions building inside them. Many simply went dark as their systems failed catastrophically. Others exploded in brilliant flashes that momentarily outshone Earth's moon. On the Eternal Victory, alarms blared as systems failed across the ship. "What's happening?" Kim demanded, clinging to his command chair as the ship shuddered violently. Officer Han worked frantically at his console. "Some kind of chain reaction in our power systems. It's as if the laws of physics are being rewritten around us." Kim stared at the view screen, watching his mighty fleet die. "Send the retreat signal," he finally ordered, his voice hollow. "With defeat. All ships with functioning drives withdraw immediately." Only 17 ships, including the badly damaged Eternal Victory, managed to activate their faster-than-light drives and escape the trap. As they prepared to jump to safety, a transmission came through on all channels. General Lee's face appeared on Kim's view screen. The human looked exhausted but resolute. "We've been watching your kind for generations," Lee said calmly. "The scout ship you lost 50 years ago taught us everything we needed to know. Tell your leaders, Earth is not to be threatened again." The transmission ended, and Kim gave the order to jump. The 17 surviving ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving behind the wreckage of what had been the greatest invasion fleet in the history of the Stellar Dominion. On Earth, celebrations erupted as news of victory spread. Strangers embraced in streets. Families wept with relief. The planet had faced its greatest threat and survived. In the highest levels of government, however, the mood was more somber. The world's leaders gathered virtually to discuss what would come next. "They'll be back," one president said. "Perhaps not soon, but eventually, with an even larger force." The Secretary General nodded. "Then we must be ready. The secret is out now. Humanity knows what lies beyond our world. There's no going back to our old divisions." In the command center, General Lee finally allowed himself to sit down. The weight of the past 3 days, of the past 50 years, seemed to press down on his shoulders. "What do we do now?" Dr. Park asked quietly. Lee looked at the tactical display, where the debris field around Earth told the story of their desperate battle. "Now," he said, "we take the fight to them." In the following weeks, Earth's hidden fleet was joined by newly commissioned ships. The technology that had been developed in secret was now shared openly among nations. Humanity united not just in defense but in the determination to secure their place among the stars. And in the heart of the Stellar Dominion, the 17 surviving ships limped home, bearing news that would shake the foundation of their civilization. The dear news that somewhere in the galaxy, on a small blue planet they had grievously underestimated, humans were waiting. And they were no longer prey, but predators.